What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood webcast / podcast. Because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host, as always, Jimmy, and we have a very special show. But first off, I want to send a shout out to my brother Corey, who's in the building. Corey, how are you, sir?
What's going on, Jim? How you feeling?
Oh man, I can't complain. Ain't nobody listening. Fair and partly cloudy. We're back at it with another episode. This is 28, I believe. We have a very special guest with us. This gentleman has an African American travel magazine, and I don't even know how many of those there are. You know what I mean? I looked at your magazine and I started looking around. There's not too many that focus on our community, but he's the founder of this magazine, and it's been around for a long time. I'll let him tell his story. He's also a businessman, an investor, and he's very active in the community, doing a lot of work. So without further ado, I want to bring on Brother Weller Thomas. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. And Jimmy and Corey, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed meeting you guys at the investment club meeting.
Yes, sir.
And, it's a lot of opportunity out here. And, I'm glad to meet young brothers like yourself. That, people are now beginning to call me the OG.
Yeah. So we got together as part of African American Investment Club, which is important too.
Yeah.
That's very important that we work together to build resources and invest in communities and things of that nature.
Well, listen, I'm sorry I cut across you, but
that's okay.
You just helped the OG get online here, because as I like to say, I'm low tech. I'm not high tech.
we figured it out though. We figured it out. But listen, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? Where are you from originally?
Okay.
And how'd you get into business?
I'm from a little town in Tidewater, Virginia called Matthews County, which is right on the Middle Peninsula. Small town, grew up, no traffic lights, but had a good life there. And went to Virginia Commonwealth University, majored in, started out in accounting, then I went to real estate, started selling real estate in my 20s. And, when the interest rates went to, oh goodness, 9%, everybody was panicking. And I had a lot of, government type of clients, VA, FHA. So long story short, I've always been in sales. Went to Virginia Commonwealth University, better known as VCU. Been in sales pretty much my whole life, and moved to Philadelphia in 1986. And, I met my wife. We started dating, and she was finishing up her degree at Temple in journalism. And actually, she wasn't in journalism. She was in international marketing. And but she hated math, and I love math. So I'm trying to tutor her in statistics, and she just wasn't getting it. And she ended up taking a writing course as an elective. And professor there said, listen, you really got talent. I think you ought to think about changing your major. And she was like, oh, I'll never finish. And I convinced her to change her major. I said, I got all the bills here, just go do it. Mm-hmm. And she got the bug to do travel writing, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Started doing that.
Let me ask you a question, though. Coming from that small town that you came from, what made you get into business or major in business? Like, how'd that come about?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my mom, who had a 6th grade education, was a real entrepreneur, and she did a lot. I mean, we ended up owning 3 or 4 different houses there. She was always helping people that were, downtrodden or whatever. She would try to find resources for them. So I watched that, and my father was a hard worker. I mean, I had 5 sisters. Neither one of my parents went to college, but they made sure that all of us did. So we were instilled with, when you turn 18, you either can go to college, you can go in the military, or we don't care what you do, but you're getting up out of here. So, it was a loving environment. And then the mandate was to do better than what your parents did. So, being in a small town, I always wanted to go somewhere. I'm like, hey, take me here. My mom was always making sure we were around Black culture. I practically grew up on the campus of Hampton Institute, which is now Hampton University. My 3 older sisters went there. So, when the Fish Jubilee singers would come, or other entertainment, or even lectures, we were always exposed to our Blackness. I mean, we revered people like Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, who actually went to walk from West Virginia to Hampton, then later founded Tuskegee. So, I came up in a segregated time. We started out with segregated schools, and we got a good education because it was always like, you got to be better. And, when integration came about, my family was one of the first schools to help integrate the schools. And we recognized, hey, we were well prepared. We didn't feel like white kids were superior or anything like that. So, but we knew we had to do more. You had to get that education. And we, three of my sisters went to Hampton, and my other two went to VCU, and I did as well. Because around that time, my dad told me when I came out, he said, you better get that basketball scholarship or academic, because I can't pay for all three of y'all being in college.
Listen,
Weller, move the camera away from your face a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I was about to tell you that. But it's okay. It's okay.
I was in a zone there, brother.
But you know what? You gave us some good stuff. I just want to make sure that people can see you as we do this. But because what I'm taking from that is you had a very strong family structure, right? So it looks like that family is everything, because that family structure is what prepared you for everything that you've done thus far, and that's very important. That people hear that strong family. So your wife got into the travel writing business, and like I said, I haven't seen too many African American travel magazines and things that specialize in that. So we gave you the idea to say, you know what, we're going to do our own thing.
This is interesting, and just to really give you a good backdrop, my wife started travel writing for the local paper here, the Philadelphia Tribune. Then she got picked up by the Asbury Park Press, Cleveland Plain Dealer. She was a talented writer. And for whatever reason, one of the newspapers, the local one here, decided you can't put contact information in the article because they're not advertising with us, which is kind of ridiculous in a sense. So people would call the paper, and of course she was a freelancer. So what would happen is they would just say she lives in Philly. So people, our phone number is still listed, by the way.
Okay.
And people were calling the house 10, 11 o'clock at night trying to get information on these destinations. And I told my wife, we need to change this phone number. She said, no, it's something to this. So she was still at Temple. And we did some research and discovered that there was no travel magazine with over 75 titles. None of them addressed the needs of the African-American traveler. Now, around that time, the federal government had done a report called the Minority Traveler. Over $40 billion was being spent by the African Americans just in this country on travel and tourism. So we say, damn, there's an opportunity here, okay? So we did our homework and started researching about how to start a magazine. I actually helped, or I audited a course on magazine publishing at Temple. I would go sit in class with her. And I started looking at these numbers, Corey and Jimmy. I said, damn, Rodale Press just launched a travel magazine. Same year we did. They put out $5 million into this product. And 6 months later, they pulled the plug. And I looked at my wife. I said, you're crazy. We can't do this. She says, no, we can do it. So I said, okay. I was still working for a healthcare company at the time. I said, you know what? I can figure this out, but I'm going to keep my day job. Right. So long story short, my wife actually got some committed advertisers before we launched, and they agreed that we believe in your product, we've seen your writing, and we were able to get enough money to go to print. And by the time we sent out invoices, we got paid. So we were publishing issue by issue. Okay. And that was in 1997 when we launched. So we've been out there now 22 years. And we started out as a quarterly, evolved into a bi-monthly. Of course, the stock market crash of 2008 really set a lot of people back, including us. We had to let some people go. We scaled back to a quarterly, but we are the only leisure travel publication in this country targeted to the African-American traveler. We've never missed an issue. In 22 years, we now also have it in a digital format. But we tell you what to do, where to go, how to get there from our cultural perspective. Because bottom line is, when you're traveling, and I'm sure you guys travel, you're successful. When you go places with your family, you want to make sure that you're able to enjoy your type of cuisine. You want to hear your jazz, blues, rap, whatever. A lot of times when you're going places, you may not, if you stay in a hotel, you may ask the maitre d', okay, I'm interested in this and that. They may know your culture, they may not. So what we felt like we were the eyes and ears of the African American travel community. I mean, if we can identify an African American owned resort, and there are a few, it's not a lot, but throughout the Caribbean, and even the Black owned bed and breakfast inns. I remember in 1998, we did a special feature on all the African American bed and breakfasts around the country. It was one of our most popular issues, and we've stayed in quite a few. So what we try to do is to highlight the positive. I mean, we don't do negative stories. I'm not going to be, we don't blast anybody. If we run across a property that's not up to speed, we'll politely tell the proprietor, you know, you need to work on this or that. But the bottom line is there is so much out there that we don't know that exists. And we're very big on history and culture. I mean, we take people down to South Carolina to the Gullah Geechee community. I just hosted the last 3 days, one of my dear friends who wants to bring a Gullah event here to Philadelphia, because there's a lot of people in this city and throughout the Northeast who have roots from South Carolina. You know, yes, most of our ancestors came through the port of Charleston. So a lot of our rich history there. You know, we've taken people to Cuba. We've been traveling to Cuba since 1999. People are amazed and say, well, how do you do that? Well, you have to get a license. So we have Afro-Cuban tour guides on the ground. We've taken people to Egypt, to South Africa. So we're just enjoying the world. And
y'all doing it big.
Yeah, we're trying, brother. We're trying. And it's still a struggle. I don't want anybody to think that I'm sitting up here like, you know, John Johnson by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, we were inspired by the examples. When we did our research on whether or not to start a magazine, what we discovered, there was a product out there called the Green Book, which you probably have heard about.
Yeah. Yep. They just made the movie about that recently, right?
Exactly. And they kind of took some liberties with the Green Book on that. But the reality is that was started by a Pullman porter who actually traveled up and down from Chicago throughout the South. And he put together a book because African Americans, now, you know, I'm a little older than you guys, but you probably recall, you may have heard your parents or your grandparents talking about when they were traveling throughout the South, you couldn't stop to use the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
This guy published his book letting you know where you could stay, where you could get a hot meal, or who would put you up for the night. And it was distributed free. But after integration, people decided they wanted to go stay in Howard Johnson's and Holiday Inn. So that was really our motivation. We said, wow, this guy did this back then. There's no one doing it now. And we felt that we needed to fulfill that need. And,
okay, so that was the inspiration for
that was the inspiration
for Pathfinders.
I always wanted to travel. You know, when I left high school, I wrote down on paper that I wanted to visit Cuba, ironically. I wanted to go to Egypt, which I've also been to, and places like Ghana and places, you know, other places throughout the diaspora. It was just instilled in me. I mean, you know, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. So I was always looking for more answers about who we were. Because, you know, growing up in a small town, and I'm sure it wasn't much different here in Philadelphia, you didn't get the positive stories about how great your people were. They always want to start with slavery. They never want to talk about the fact they went to Africa to get skilled people, not people who couldn't think. They got people that knew how to grow the rice, how to build pyramids. You go to Savannah, Georgia. There's a African Baptist church there that has bricks that were made over 300 years ago. And
I've actually been there, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you know what I'm talking about. When they tear buildings down in Savannah, they reclaim and reuse those bricks because they were of superior quality. So, you know, what we're trying to do is bring the stories to the forefront, let you know where you can go, where you're going to be treated well, and just highlighting the world. That's
interesting. So from what you're saying, it's like, it's about travel, but it's also cultural and history within there as well.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Now, let me ask you a question. Are you guys only digital now? Do you still do a physical, or is it just digital?
No. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a treat here. I went out to the car this morning. I hope you can see this. I'm gonna hold this up.
Yeah, just hold to the camera. Okay, so yeah. Okay,
This
so
is
we're on that.
current edition.
Yeah.
The fall editions came out last month. And I'm just gonna put a shameless plug out here. We are Pathfinder. You can find us online at Pathfinders with the pathfinderstravel.com.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
I'll make sure I share that with all of our followers. I'm going to put it within the description of this video and audio.
Sure.
And I'm actually going to subscribe to. I want to get the physical. I've read the digital copy. I want to get the physical copy too, though, because I appreciate what you guys are doing. That's very important. And I think that a lot of people should know that this exists because, listen, as people that travel, we're always looking for ideas and information, and always trying to stay culturally relevant because that's very important.
Well, Jimmy, let me just say this. People ask me what my favorite destination is, and I tell them it's Cuba. I'm taking a group to Cuba in May of this year, and I like to emphasize the fact that we focus on Afro-Cuban culture because prior to traveling to Cuba in 1998, if you had told me that the dominant population in Cuba was African and that the dominant religion was Yoruba, I would have said you lying. To be able to see Black faces in powerful positions in government, they lead the culture in terms of the music, the arts, but also when you're dealing with the culinary arts. I mean, my wife took a group of ladies down there right after President Obama went to Cuba, and they actually dined in the same restaurants that the Obamas did. We take you into some of the Yoruba museums. You're able to interact with the artists, and they love us. And actually, they know a lot about our history because they have statues of Malcolm and Martin there. They have a Martin Luther King Center. I also enjoyed Egypt, but right here in this hemisphere, it's got to be Cuba. Some of the best beaches in the world. You're guaranteed to have a good time.
Interesting.
Later next year, my church, I'm actually taking a group to South Africa it'll be our third trip going to South Africa. So there's a lot to see and do. Even here in the States, we'll be taking folks down into South Carolina. We have a very rich history that is still untold, and we like to share it with people, man. So
yeah, that's the good because I was actually going to ask that question because I talk to my wife often about how we travel a lot, and I said, the funny thing is we travel and we're always leaving the country. I said, but there's so much history and culture and things that we haven't experienced right here in the country, right? Oh, man, so we need to start taking trips like within our states to experience that. Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask you in terms of staying within the country. What are some of your give me a couple of ideas of your favorite spots within
I would tell you, for example, even our neighboring state of Maryland, we're thinking about taking a group down to, and this will be a historical cultural trip, down to Dorchester, Maryland, where Harriet Tubman was from. About 3 years ago, they opened up a Harriet Tubman Visitor Center as part of the National Park Service. A lot of interesting history, even though, they made the movie, but to be able to go there and walk the same earth where she was from, Frederick Douglass was there. I was recently, this year, actually, I was in Montgomery, Alabama. I would encourage people to go to that lynching museum down there. It's very moving. You got places, like, of course, South Carolina, a lot of our history and culture. And even in places, like one place that I want to go, I haven't done yet, my wife actually spoke there to a group of Black writers years ago, was Tulsa, Oklahoma. Which I'm sure resonates with you guys being
absolutely.
Yeah.
Black Wall Street. People need to go and learn that our people have achieved greatness. And of course, the jealous folks decided they wanted to destroy that. You got the Black Cowboy Museum. You got one in Houston, Texas, where we did a benefit for several years ago. Also out in Denver, Colorado. So
there's a lot of stuff. I actually, a couple of years ago, I just visited the Buffalo Soldier Museum in Houston.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting too. A lot of history there. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, a lot of the more you get out there and start dwelling in this, you can say, wow, some of these people that are like folklore heroes, they were African. They don't always want to let you know that.
No, they don't.
No, not at all.
Like, you know, Annie Oakley was a black woman.
Absolutely. And I got a couple more questions because, like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I got a couple more questions. One, because this is just for me, because I love the Caribbean. I want to know what's your favorite spot in the Caribbean.
Cuba.
You did say that, right? You said overall that's your favorite spot. So,
but I'm gonna tell you my second one is Jamaica.
Listen. I'll be there. I'll be there the first week of December this year. Like,
oh wow,
it's funny because you know, last year we decided to do something different, so we went to St. Lucia, which was beautiful, by the way. But it's something about Jamaica. It's something about the air, the people, the culture, the music, the food. The food. Oh man, listen. To the point where like we're going right back. Like we like the grill, so we're going right back there. But I was hoping you said that. So
yeah,
Jimmy,
that's my happy place.
Yeah, I don't know how long you're going to be there, but if you get the opportunity, the one thing I have not done in Jamaica is visit the Maroon community. And it's probably on the other side of Montego Bay, probably about an hour ride. But these are the people that refused to be enslaved. They fought the British, and they still maintain their independence lifestyle. They're still speaking the Ashanti language. There in Jamaica. So if you ask anybody about the Maroons, now the government doesn't want you going to experience that, but if you deal with the indigenous Afro-Jamaican, they know about the Maroons, and it would be a powerful experience.
I definitely got to do that. So
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to at some point doing a trip like that and experiencing that community.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing because I went and visited like some of the Aboriginals when I was in Australia, and that experience was like just mind blowing. So
I bet it is.
Yeah. So listen, outside of you know, Pathfinder, because and I want everybody to go check that out because that's culturally relevant. It's very powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that. I know you also do a lot of work in the community. I just want to say thank you for all the work you do. In terms of mentorship and everything you do in the community, because that's also important. So
yeah, because when I leave after this interview, I'm heading down to 100 Black men. We're doing some mentoring today. We get together every other Saturday, and got about 40 young men. And I say young men because they are really beginning to catch on and recognize that you have to put the time and the work in. You know, nothing is given to you unless you earn it. And we're trying to make sure that our kids are focusing on their education, but we're teaching them some real skills, social skills about how to identify themselves, respect their elders, and you know, use that mind. You know, our minds are precious jewels. And if you don't nurture your mind, you know, we're constantly telling kids, you got to put that phone down and shut the TV off and tune into who you are.
Yeah. So we just want to say, listen, thank you, because that's very important. And Corey and I will like be getting involved and try to help you guys out with some of that as well, because you know, we think that part is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that everybody takes a look at you know, Pathfinder Travel Magazine. We're going to share all that with them because I think that's very valuable, man. And we appreciate it. Corey, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, man, he gave me a lot of gems, like, because I actually was supposed to go to Jamaica in a week or so, but I had some health issues that prevented me from traveling. But when I'm going next year for sure.
Yeah,
I was supposed to go next week, and so when you were saying Jamaica, I was like, that hurt my heart a little bit because I had to cancel my plans because I couldn't go because of some health issues with traveling. But you know, once my doctor cleared me, I'm back on the grind. I get out the country 2 to 3 times a year myself. So you know,
let me mention this to you, Corey. Go to the grill. There's an African American sister that owns a place down there. It's called Jackie's on the Reef. And then also for health, you want to go to the Negril Treehouse.
Okay.
They cook vegetarian jerk, everything you need, and you're overlooking the bay. It is absolutely wonderful. And
okay. I got it on video now, so I don't even gotta go look around. I can find it now. It's on video now.
And I'll be there the first week, so I'm definitely gonna go check out Jackie's on the Reef. I'll be on Jackie's on the Reef. Yeah, I haven't been there. But you know what though? Also, based on this conversation, I got to get to Cuba now. Like I haven't. That's one place I haven't been. It's on my bucket list, so I'm definitely gonna have to try to find my way there. But Weller, listen, I just want to say, like again, thank you for all the work you do. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you what you guys do for not only just like travel, but for history and culture, because that's very important.
Absolutely.
And for business, and for showing us that we can actually own our own magazine. You know, it's one thing to be a freelancer, but to go out there on a limb. Because and another thing I took from this is you talk about all the research that you did, and that's important. You just didn't.
I'll be in a minute.
You did the research, but you also took action. Because a lot of times people like the research and they get like paralysis by analysis. But you guys took action, but you did your research too.
Yeah, had to.
Yeah. So I think those are important gems that you gave our audience. So I just want to say thank you again, and I wish you much success and everything. And we're part of the same investment club now, so I'll see you at least once a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Say in closing, I want to thank you, brothers, for what you're doing, because you could be doing something else at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, but we got it done. We had to reset this. But I applaud you, and we will have both of you to come in and speak to our youth and 100 Black Men.
Absolutely.
They need to see, our motto is they will be what they see. So if they see someone doing something positive, they say, yeah, why can't you do this? You can do it too. And that's what we're all about, man.
Absolutely.
So that's similar to our motto, which is representation matters.
Yes.
Which is why we do this podcast.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll definitely be there because that's part of our mission as well. So thank you, brother. We appreciate you, man. And for our audience out there, listen, make sure you check out Pathfinder magazine. This is a very powerful episode because this is something that's owned by us, and we want to make sure that we support each other. And it's a high quality magazine, and it's our magazine. So make sure you definitely support. Check out Brother Weller. I'll put all of his information to check out the magazine and such within the description. Another powerful episode, Core. So I just want to say to our audience out there, as we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep.
That's true.
We'll definitely talk to you guys next episode. Peace.